Sir, can I start program?
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
Good morning, everyone. It gives me a huge pleasure to extend you a very warm welcome on the behalf of MSP Mandas Yashwantrao Chavan Mahavidyalaya Ambazogai, who has clubbed us, all of us, for national seminar on the plant pest welfare. Plant pest welfare is a effective and environmental sensitive approach towards the botany students. Mainly, pest management is very important to improve the good pesticide and improving the quality and quantity of the crop plants also. That's why we organize this plant pest welfare program related to the plant pathology and the plant growth. So it gives me a pleasure and pride to welcome and introduce our guest for honor today, speaker Professor Dr. Arun Kharat sir and Professor Dr. Navnath Kashit sir, to give us important guidance. Before that, I will request our respected principal Dr. Shudas Shisat sir to give us presidential speech. Please sir.
नमस्कार. गुड मॉर्निंग एव्हरीबडी. मराठवाडा शिक्षण प्रसारक मंडळs यशवंतराव चव्हाण कॉलेज अंबाजोगाई डिस्ट्रिक्ट बीड डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ बॉटनी organize one day online national level seminar on plant pest welfare. I am grateful to all honorable executive council and CDC members of the office bears. All the organizations have given their best wishes for this seminar. Today, our guest of honor and keynote address of this seminar, Honorable Professor Dr. Arun Kharatji, Professor, School of Life Science, Jawaharlal Nehru University, Delhi. Resource persons, Professor Dr. Navnath Kasit, Professor Baburauji Adaskar Mahavidyalay. My all teaching and non-teaching staff, convener of this seminar, Miss Tejaswini Kople and Miss Poonam Lakhe, and organizing committee members, technical supporter. I have an immense pleasure to organize these events for the benefit of new building scientists and research scholars, faculties. The current globalization has created the issue of global warming. This has affected not only human life but also the flora and fauna. Today's seminar has been organized with the aim of creating awareness in this regard. The major trust area of plant protection is promotion of integrated pest management availability. This is for safe and quality pesticides. It is useful in sustaining crop production from the ravage of pest and disease. The emphasizing minimizing crop losses caused by pest, while it encourages use the natural pest control and cultural all practices. It promotes use of biopesticide and biocontrol agent. It conserves the deserved agro ecosystem to support natural immunity of plant pest. It is important for food security and reduce negative impact of excessive pesticide use. Therefore, we have choose this topic. It is necessary to discuss and create awareness on this very important topic of plant pest welfare. Lastly, I appeal to participants to be online throughout these events and take the benefit of the deliberation from experts. I hope that there will be fruitful discussions in this seminar. Thank you once again, one and all. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you so much, sir. It is a really proud and honor for our college to organize such a big program with such amazing guests, Professor Dr. Navnath Kachit sir and Professor Dr. Arun Kharat sir. Words are very short to describe their achievements. I request to my colleague Kople ma'am to introduce Dr. Arun Kharat sir. Kople ma'am,
Good morning,
please.
everyone. Yes, yes. Good morning, everyone. Dr. Arun Kharat, sir, working as professor in School of Life Science at JNU, Delhi. Sir have 32 years of experience in his career. Sir completed their specialization in bacterial antibiotics resistance genes, host pathogen interaction, environmental microbiology, medical plant, antimicrobial, and anti-cancer potentiality. Sir was a professor, Department of Biotechnology, Sub-Campus, Dharashiv. Sir have first year experience in scientific assistant at Department of Biological Science, Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Mumbai. Sir worked as director at sub-campus of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University, Dharashiv, and UGC Human Resource Development Center, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University. Sir participate in adaptive mutation symposium, Raman Research Laboratory, Bangalore. Sir published their paper in best peer publication and journals. So we all are very eager to listen you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Professor Shirsat sir, organizer Kople ma'am, Lakhe ma'am, and my co-colleague Professor Kashit sir also. Let me share my presentation.
Yes, sir.
Hmm. I hope the presentation is visible to you all.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Yes,
what
sir,
I
visible.
will do in next 20 minutes or so, I will talk about an essential aspect of microbes, that is microorganisms, in the vermicompost to improve the agricultural health. So in one line, I'll say like we have heard or read the statement in the school science book, गांडुळाला शेतकऱ्याचा मित्र म्हणतात. So something like that, I'm going to talk about it today. So why composting? First of all, before we go to the vermicompost, let's start with the composting, which was again a traditional preparation of uh, the fertilizer back at the villages. And now this has taken over by the chemical fertilizer of late. And then again, we have started in last 20 years talking about organic farming. And organic farming is again talking the vermicompost or compost. And compost is basically largely 70% of waste, which is organic in nature. And that can be used to cause the problems of smell, leakage, gas, stray animals, etc. And people, in the name of hygiene, in the name of sophistication, don't like the lacquate or gassy smell producing stuff. And that is one of the reasons why compost have been replaced with the chemical fertilizers. Recycling at source at most economic and environmental method, and the waste management also. Simple methods are available. Compost is valuable resource for farmers. And शेणखत ऐकलं असेल तुम्ही. शेणखत बद्दल मी बोलतोय थोडक्यात, किंवा घरातल्या कचऱ्याबद्दल बोलतोय. Composting at resource keeps inorganic waste clean, makes it easier for recycle because it does not require a sophistication. Process of decomposition of organic waste by microorganisms, त्याला आपण सडणे म्हणतो थोडक्यात. किण्वन प्रक्रिया, सडणे प्रक्रिया, त्या प्रक्रियेबद्दल आपण डिकम्पोजिशनचं बोलतो. दॅट इज व्हॉट इज अ कंपोस्टिंग. Natural processes can be made faster and more effective by mixing a various type of waste material and adjusting their moisture level, the temperature, and then the aeration. Matlab, you can add the type of material, then you can adjust the moisture so that it supports the decomposition activity, decaying activity, then at a particular specific aeration and temperature. It should contain nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, which are the mainly major requirements of the plant, which plant can't generally synthesize, but that has to be provided through the in a solubilized form. And the steps would include a preparation, converting waste into the raw material, production of compost, and then marketing. That is what it is. So here it is like you have a waste collected, then first and foremost important thing is to sort it out. So separate organic from inorganic, reduce the size if it is required, adjust the moisture if this is a dry or some sort of it, then add the starters. Starters म्हणजे ज्याला आपण मराठीमध्ये विरजण म्हणतो. सो विरजण हा एक किण्वन प्रक्रियेमध्ये फर्मेंटेशन त्याला इंग्रजीत म्हणतात, is a very common thing. Adjust the carbon to nitrogen ratio. It is a very important because the primary fermentation depends on a carbon nitrogen only. So here it is shown like how it is being made. Now in nature, carbon to nitrogen ratios are chicken manure असेल तर 2:4, cow dung असेल 20, vegetables 12 to 20 ratio, green gases would have 15 to 20 ratio, fruit waste would have 35 ratio, household domestic disposal घरचा भाजीपाल्याचा कचरा 30 to 80, straw तणस 80 to 100, and sawdust will have 600 to 800. So highest would be the sawdust. Now if you talk about a compost preparation, एक खड्डा करा, शोष खड्डा करा, त्या शोष खड्ड्यामध्ये सगळं घालून ते आपल्याला हवा बाहेर निघेल अशा पद्धतीने अरेंज करावं लागेल. Place prepare waste in the piles, windrows, chamber, or the bins. Turn the compost regularly, and arrange other ways to aerate the waste. So you have to keep on shifting to make sure that the aeration is properly done. Regularly monitor temperature and the moisture. Now, very interesting graph shows scientifically what happened. Initially, for a few days, there is no activity happening, let's say for 2 days or so. Then the mesophiles म्हणजे 20 ते 42 डिग्री टेम्परेचरला ग्रो करणाऱ्या बॅक्टेरिया किंवा फंजाईला आपण मेसोफाइल म्हणतो. They will be growing largely bacteria, and as they grow, they enhance the temperature and some decomposition takes place. So temperature is rising. Then automatically after 42 degrees, mesophiles will not grow. It will take over by the thermoduric or thermophilic. Thermophilic ज्यांना high temperature ला grow करण्याला आवडतं. And technically here the temperature can reach to the as high as up to 60 degrees Celsius, and it will come back. There will be fungi, then actinomyces in addition to bacteria, which have a property of thermophilic. Then whatever the secondary products have been produced from the original compound, they will serve themselves as a carbon nitrogen source, and second and third level consumers could be mesophilic or other organisms will start growing, and then it comes back as a matured product. Now, when you talk about home decomposition options, you could make it like aerated barrels or the boxes. Then you can have the brick made storage also, or you could even have a Tupperware. You can do the composting, use this composting into the home garden, terrace garden, backyard garden, ज्याला आपण परस बाग म्हणतो, or growing the in-house vegetables. Composting and community at a municipal level, you can think that you may have decomposition sites located. From there, you can sort it out and convert into into the composting from that city or domestic disposal. आजकाल या विषयावर खूप मोठं राजकीय चर्चा होते. दिल्लीच्या इलेक्शन मध्ये इथला दिल्लीचा कचरा हा खूप मोठा विषय राहिलेला आहे. Had it that itself been converted into compost, probably the things or the results could have been different in Delhi. Important points to remember: separate waste at the source only. Glass in the waste can result in injuries. So you have to remove the hazardous material. Ensure the carbon ratio is very proper. Chop the waste in a small pieces so that a physical breaking should not take a lot of time. You chop it, you break it, you make it in a small pieces. Ensure the proper amount of water and air is provided to avoid any kind of a dirty smell. Prepare and implement proper marketing strategy so that most common projects fail because of the poor marketing. Regularly monitor composting process. Now coming to the other part, that is a vermicompost आणि इथे आहे की गांडूळ खत. त्याला Okay, so why vermicomposting? Because worms do the work for you. All right. So the
Sir, no sound.
Hello? Sir, is there any problem? Your voice is breaking.
that means almost 45 kilogram. जर आपण 5 फूट ते 8 I was disconnected since. Am I audible?
Sir, yes, now audible, but voice is breaking.
Okay.
Yeah, now audible.
Yeah. Shoot. Yeah, can you see this slide? This is what I was talking.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so why vermicompost? I'll talk again that vermicompost in that case working for you. You don't have to do much of a work because they work as a turner, as a mixer. जसं आपण छोटं खुरपं किंवा छोटी उकरी वापरतो त्याप्रमाणे हे गांडूळ मातीमध्ये फिरत राहतात आणि ते फिरत फिरत त्यामधला न्यूट्रिएंटला रिसायकल करण्याचा गोल फिरवण्याचं काम करतात. छोटे छोटे ग्लोब्युल्स तयार करतात and they work like a mixer. Then interestingly, they are also requiring a food. So what is their food? Plant pathogenic organisms is their food. So they are consuming, they are growing by using the plant pathogenic bad guys, and that is why they are basically going to remove the bad and make the good. So how much they can eat? त्यांच्या वजनाच्या अर्ध वजन ते खाऊ शकतात. 5 फूट ते 8 फूट एक साईजचा जर आपण आयताकृती बॉक्स विचारात घेतला तर त्यामध्ये जवळजवळ एका दिवसाला 45 किलो कचरा ते खाऊ शकतात. दॅट्स हाय. Screeners once eat the bedding material and the feed turn into the rich soil product. आणि त्यांच्यामधून जे विष्ठा तयार होते त्यामधून जे डिकम्पोजिशन मधून जे तयार होतं ते न्यूट्रिशनली रिच मटेरियल असतं. Worms add oxygen from all the beneficial microorganisms. आणि ते ऑक्सिजन देतात की जे दुसऱ्या बॅक्टेरियाला अत्यंत उपयुक्त regularly check the moisture, harvest vermicompost every 3 would be a bad thing. It would change its tone and the quality. Store harvested, then remove for the young worms. Now, what are the applicability in the case they are working at the source, so you don't need to specially create a corporate type of environment. Now, what are the source? Economic and environment friendly waste management, simple gardener and a farmer both. Disadvantage, you need to segregate the waste. म्हणजे त्याला त्याचं वर्गीकरण करणं हे तुमचं एक वाढलेलं काम आहे. वर्मी कंपोस्टिंग ऑन द अदर हँड, जेवढे कंपोस्टिंगचे बेनिफिट आहेत ते सगळे बेनिफिट ह्याच्याबरोबर वर्मी कंपोस्टिंगला सुद्धा लागू होतात. डिसएडव्हान्टेज काय आहे? मेंटेन प्रॉपर एन्व्हायरमेंटल कंडिशन्स फॉर वर्म्स. जर आपण त्यावर दुर्लक्ष केलं आणि जर गांडूळ त्याच्यामध्ये जीवित नाही राहू शकले, जगू नाही शकले व्यवस्थित, तर त्यामधून तुम्हाला चांगल्या क्वालिटीचं वर्मी कंपोस्ट तयार होणार नाही. त्यामुळे तुम्हाला गांडुळाच्या जिवंत राहण्याबरोबर जाण्यावर आपल्याला जास्त लक्ष द्यावं लागेल. हेच वर्मी कंपोस्ट बद्दल मी सांगितलेलं आहे. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain you a little bit about one of our research paper that basically consortium inoculum of 5 thermotolerant phosphate solubilizing actinomycin for multi-purpose biofertilizer preparation. आता आपल्याकडे हॉर्टिकल्चर पोल्ट्री आणि फार्म ॲनिमल पर्टिक्युलरली पिग्स याचं प्रमाण खूप वाढतं आणि दोन्हीमध्ये काय होतं की फॉस्फेट अक्युमुलेट एन्व्हायरमेंटमध्ये खूप होतं. त्यामुळे काय होतं की कॅल्सिफिकेशन झाल्यामुळे मातीतला त्याचा वापर, अल्कलिनिटी हा मोठा शेतामध्ये प्रॉब्लेम झालाय आणि त्यामुळे शेतामध्ये त्याचा फारसा उपयोग होत नाही. मग आपण काय करतो की वी आर लुकिंग फॉर द अल्टरनेटिव्ह आणि केमिकली वापरलेले पण नायट्रोजन, फॉस्फरस आणि पोटॅशियम वाले NPK वाले जे खत आहेत त्यातून पण एक फॉस्फेटचं प्रमाण वाढले, पण त्याच्यामध्ये सॉल्युबलायझेशन हा विषय असल्यामुळे नॉन सॉल्युबल फॉर्म फॉस्फेट हा काही शेतासाठी जास्त उपयुक्त नसतो. मग ते कसं करायचं? तर त्यासाठी हा एक पेपर आहे की ज्यामध्ये आम्ही ऑब्जेक्टिव्ह काय की अल्कलाइन pH of the soil facilitate the conversion of phosphate present in the phosphate fertilizer into the insoluble phosphate which is not available for the plant. Problem of soluble phosphate deficiency is increasing primarily due to needless use of chemical fertilizers basically. Then we sought to create a biofertilizer with a thermotolerant phosphate solubilizing actinomycin consortium that could convert insoluble phosphate into soluble. So we had started off with a lot of it. So in introduction of
Hello, sir. Hello.
Sir, you are not clearly audible.
Sir, we can't listen you now. Hello, sir.
Okay, hopefully now you will be able to
Yes, sir. Now you
allow
will.
me to
We will
share.
listen you.
Ah, okay. So overuse of phosphate, therefore, adding to the lot of problems, and use of phosphate solubilizing microorganisms as a biofertilizer became the need of the time. So here is a concept like it is a process of creating reasonably odorless, that's very important, compost using the red worms feeding on microorganisms. Those degrade the organic matter such as a food waste. Now worms casting is very experimental process, are nutritionally rich in usable form for the plant and therefore make the excellent fertilizers. So what is your input basically is it could be wood. In otherwise matter can be wood, plastic, microbes, etc. So you don't want to use the plastic. Input is a food waste, lawn or the garden waste, paper waste, farm animal or human excrete also. Systems, wooden or plastic boxes, cement troughs, direct ground overlays, shosh khadda. Microorganisms and red worms on damp bedding. So you need to have a bedding and you need to layer them with the red worms, that is the earthworms. Worm casting used as a fertilizer as much as a 1 by 10 ton, 30% increased yield. T, separation of the liquid and the solids is very important. Sustainable, yes, it is a most of the part is sustainable in this case. Now input basically has to be an organic matter. There is no inorganic content. System should be container and the natural organism, that is the organic content. So basic design, consider 1 feet cube space, that would be per pound, food per week. Temperature would be 32 degree Fahrenheit to 85 degree Fahrenheit. So it is anywhere between 20 to 30 degrees Celsius. Ventilation is required, drainage holes are required, so to maintain the continuous wetness. The green design consideration is recyclable, and reusable. Packaging should be commercial for the shipping so that source at reduction will be there. Then wooden bins is a very good because it is nothing but a reused wood. There are no chemical sealants provided. Natural decomposition, therefore it is a favoring system. Now containers can be plastic and that could be a recycled content, thermoplastic, set plastics, forming process, packaging waste, lasts for generations.
Sir, no sound.
Okay. Yeah.
Hello, sir. Sir, we can't listen you now. Hello.
Maybe network issue.
Worms casting. So worms will utilize and they will produce the products. So basically this is about there are organisms involved, Pseudomonas, Bacillus, and Rhizobia. These are the generally known to be phosphate soluble. So in our work, we had like a 32 different actinomycetes, mostly from the Streptomyces genus, and some were also non various different enzyme activities such as the cellulase. Found to
Hello, sir. Sir, may I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Correct, sir.
I'm so sorry, it is getting frequently disconnected.
Sir, now you are audible, but there is some
Am I
problem.
audible? No?
Now audible, there is some network
Yeah,
issue.
but it was disconnected. Like frequently I'm getting disconnected. I don't know.
Okay, okay. Now we listen you,
Okay.
sir.
So
Continue.
can you see?
Yes, sir, yes.
Hello, can you see the presentation?
Yes, sir. We see
Okay.
your slides.
Okay. So in this case, what initially I'll come back to the work again. We have dead product and more than 90% antibiotic. Streptomyces nogalactor, Streptomyces longisporoflavus, and Streptomyces cellulose was studied.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. I think network issue.
Okay, Karat sir. Sir, please mute
Go
your
the slide and wait just a moment. I'm sorry, so sorry, because it is getting disconnected quite frequently. I'll just directly jump onto the. Okay, so as we seen in the previous presentation slide, also in compose, the temperature rises in between. So on the week 4 and week 5, the temperatures were gone as much as like a 70 degree plus and 65 to 70. Then finally it settled to 55 degrees in the week 9. Then if you talk about the amount of solubilization of the phosphate, as the temperature week 4 to the week 9, started the conversion of the solubilization of the phosphate as one of the feature that was from 50%, 40 to 50% in between, that 40 to 50 microgram per ml, that was quite high. So these studies were carried out. It was done back in the Aurangabad area only. So just wanted to share about it. I'm sorry for all the difficulties due to the internet glitches and presentation now here.
No problem, sir. May I audible to you, sir?
I'm done. Yeah, you are audible. A little
Okay.
slow, but you are
Thank you
audible.
so much,
Yes.
sir, for giving us more information about vermicomposting, and it is very beneficial to our farmers, also the botany students.
I will share. If
Okay,
it
sir,
is
you
required, you can
send
share
us
among the
PPT,
other
we
people.
will share.
Yeah, no problem. Okay,
Thank you so much, sir, your informative and valuable guidance. It will be very beneficial for all the students and all of us. Thank you once again. Then I will again request to the Kople ma'am to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Navnath Kashit sir.
Good morning, everyone. Dr. Navnath Kashit sir is professor at Baburauji Adaskar Mahavidyalay Kets, Bid. Sir also work as research guide in botany. He has 25 years of experience in teaching field and 24 years of research. He also participate in Board of Studies in Botany. Sir guide the 10 students and 3 students awarded the PhD degree and 5 are working. 2 students got MPhil degree. He also contribute as research guide, PAC coordinator, chairman of cultural activity and editor of Science World wall poster. It is very proud to announce that Sir awarded with Mahatma Phule Ideal Award, award for top academic achievement in UG College level excellent professor award. So we all are very eager to listen you. Sir, thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Just minute. फाइल होती का शेयर.
No sir. We
ओके,
see
मी
you
पाठवले
sir.
तुम्हाला ते शेअर करा.
Okay sir.
हॅलो काशिद सर,
यस सर.
शेअरला क्लिक करा. शेअरला क्लिक करा म्हणजे आता जमलं तर बघूयात, नाही तर मग शेअर करतो.
नाही, मी ऑलरेडी पाठवलंय मेलवर.
अच्छा, ठीक आहे.
शेअर करतायत, एक जस्ट मिनिट. यस, लाखा मॅम.
Yes, sir.
तुमच्याकडे पाठवलेली स्लाइड शेअर करा तुम्ही.
Okay, sir.
आय विल डेमॉन्स्ट्रेट यू. सिंधू सर.
Sorry for inconvenience all of you. Now we are sharing the PPT, sir. Please continue.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
So before few minutes, good morning, all of you.
Very good morning, sir.
So sorry for firstly delayed. I can't share my file properly. Okay. So once again, good morning. Firstly, I would like to thanks Yashwantrao Chauhan Mahavidyalaya, Ambojogai, the principal Sirsat sir, and organizing committee member, inviting me to share my views about the plant pest welfare in front of the UGPG student faculty members from our university premises as well as outside the university faculty members from Maharashtra. Friends, firstly, I would like to congratulate the Department of Botany. Besides having a non-grant for the faculty members, they having taking the initiatives to organize such a wonderful online webinar based upon these plant pest welfares. So congratulate the team botany faculty members. Secondly, thank you, Thorat sir, with a lot of gap I have an opportunity to listen you on the topic of the vermicomposting related to this increasing growth rate and development as well as the yield and productivity of these plants, which is beneficial for related to these yield of the plants. The organizer giving me an opportunity to sharing the topics that is they wants to speak on these plant diseases with the control measures, which is the welfare for the plants and the environments. Friends, Lakshman, you go continually. So
Okay,
within
sir.
the title of this presentation, the plants being heterotropic in behavior, that is within the biosphere, within this globe, within this ecosystem, plant hold only having the ability, or these are one of the biotic component those actively participated into to manufacturing the food material, the phenomenon or the process which is called as the photosynthesis. That's why the plant considered the heterotropic in behaviors. Whatever with the food material synthesized by the plants, manufactured by the plants, they provides for another organism to sustain in the biosphere. That's why it also called as the primary producers. So health and wealth of these primary producers is very important to tackle all the crises which arises in this biosphere, in this globe. So that's why the health of these green plants, the health of these primary producers is very important. These plants, being a primary producers, is the initial phase of most of the food chains. A number of food chains or food webs present obtained in this biosphere, where these abiotic and abiotic organisms become interacted with each other and they will survive within this biosphere. Within all these food chains, the primary producers being green plants may be an initial component. Next one. Now, as I already discussed, that it's the health and wealth of these primary producers is very important for the mankind also. For the all these parasitic members, those depends for the food and nutrition on the plants or the primary producers is very important. If the plants do not behave normally, then they having the kinds of these injuries, then they having the kinds of these infections, then they suffers from various kinds of the diseases. The normal growth and development as well as these reproduction or the productivity of these green plants become restricted, stopped, which directly, indirectly arises the great problem because of these globe. That is, if these primary producer plants reduces its productivity, then these yield factors, yield matters become reduced. Though once these yield matters become reduced, is directly affected to the food and nutrition of these increased population, not only the Indian continent, but also in case of these throughout the world. According to this United Nations, the Food and Agriculture Organization, that is FAO, near about the 10% of the cereal production is lost due to this infection of the various kinds of the injuries or the diseases, and the 12% of this cotton production is lost due to the disease period. This is a simple one of these examples related to these cereals and these cottons. But there are a number of these cereals, then the millets, then these vegetable plants, then the pulses. Those grows and develops in case of the biosphere in this system may be affected or affected by the various kinds of these diseases or the insect pests. Then they reduces the yield and the productivity of the the croplands. According to the economic loss caused by this pest, in world level, it is high as a $120 billion in every year. So it damages these ill producing the biotic component due to these diseases as well as the insects and pests. Next one. So what happens? That the economic impact due to reducing this ill property of the croplands, because the plant health not only the vital for our environment and the food security, but it also plays a significant role in shaping our economy. It maintaining the health of the plants is crucial for the agricultural productivity, because the agricultural land which is present either in case of the globe, either present in case of the Indian continent, due to the interruption by the human beings for industrialization, civilization, or to carry out the various kinds of the activity, then this agro-based farming system, agro-based the land to reduce day by day. And inversely, the population, those required the kinds of the food and nutritive or the food material, maybe day by day increases. So land under this agronomic cultivation become decreases, but the population which depends upon these lands or the productivity become increases. So it initiates, creates the amount of or the large amount of these economic as well as these food crisis in front of these human beings. The plant diseases and the pests can devastate the crops, leading to reduce the yields and increase the production cost of the farmers. Means it directly and indirectly affects all these living organisms which is sustained within these biosphere. So the next one. The poor plant health can have an impact that extends far beyond the immediate economic consequences. If the neglecting this plant health today, then it arises, creates like that when these the following three, the bigger problems in front of these living organisms. We're having loss of the biodiversity, second having the ecosystem degradation, and third one and most important things is the environmental imbalance. Because within this environment, within this biosphere, the biotic and abiotic, the component factors, organisms interacted with each other and their lives. But if there's a green flora, the plants affected by the various kinds of the disease and arises the various kinds of the crisis. So due to reducing these biotic content, then it not only changes the biodiversity scenario, but also it having arises these environmental imbalances in this biosphere. Next. So we'll go through a small tour regarding to these plant pest and diseases. What is meant by plant pest? Which is the organism which affected the healthy plants? Then what are these pests? Either these plant diseases and plant pests are same or different, and how it infected the healthy plants and what kind of these injuries causes directly, indirectly affecting to these yield of these plants. So commonly the plant pests and diseases are the nuisance that kept your plant from this threat. Agents. Indoor as well as the outdoor plants can both suffering from these diseases, infections or the pest. However, some of them may found more often on either especially indoor as well as or the outdoor plant types. Next one. And this is the differentiating unit. Being a UG and PG student, look at carefully the difference between the plant disease and the plant pest. Just like a human beings, the plants can pick up the pathogens that affect their health. Quite simply, then they can get sick like a human beings. The plants, when it become infected, then they go under to the sick, just like the human beings. The most common the plant diseases come from these fungi, then these bacteria, or even in case of the viruses. The fungi nothing but this chlorophyllus, the group of the plants, because they are unable to manufacturing their own food material for the purpose of the food and nutrition. The chlorophyllus fungus that depends upon these living plants or the green plants for the food and nutrition. So the infected, then these plants mostly considered under this category of the plant diseases. The scientific plant diseases are found in specific plant types or the species. However, there are some that span across multiple different types of the plants. Mostly, in case of the cereal, then the pulses, then the vegetable, then the ornamental plants, the different kind of these infections or these diseases become causes. Some of the downy mildew, then the powdery mildew, then these lead blight. Some of the diseases become infected, initiated coming from the roots, some coming from these environmental conditions or aerial portion of the plants. With the help of this different way, then these healthy plant become infected by these fungus, then the bacteria and the viruses. Then what are the differentiating feature of this plant pest? The plant pests are the different type of the insects. So here the insects, the kinds of this organism is very important to affect the healthy plant body. That is, the plant pests are different type of the insects that make home or a meal out of your plants. Some prefer to dig into the soil-borne diseases, while other like rest directly on the leaves. Coming from these aerial portion, some are hard to say and some make a clear-cut path as they eat up to your plants. Because in case of the aerial portion, when the infection becomes started, when the healthy plant having the infection, then on the surface of the leaves, they shows the kinds of the symptoms. Then these green leaves become converted to the yellow or the red patches or the rounded patches. The kinds of the different kind of the symptoms become observed in case of the surface of the leaves, and that we will observe or considered as then this plant become infected with the help of these by these plant pests. Usually, the plant pests are not particular about what kind of plant they want to feast or are alive in condition. So the next. Similarly, all plants can be susceptible to diseases or pests. However, the healthier plant is more likely to part of a plant disease. Similarly to the human being, because we have one of the living organism in case of the biosphere. When we living in the biosphere, a number of the climatic factor, when this climatic factor become changes, then these edaphic factor become changes, then these factors become directly and indirectly responded to the health of the human being also. And the human or the being of mankind is also suffering from the various kind of the bacterial infection, then the viral infection, which is caused by these environmental imbalance. Similarly, in case of the plants, all plants, those normally grows and develop in case of these biosphere, they also suffer from these various kind of these diseases due to the fluctuation, due to this imbalance of this, or due to the action of this climatic, as well as the edaphic factor, or as well as the factor which is present surrounds these green plants. To checking what is the going on in case of these plants, the optimal then the conditions become required. I think most of the UG student as well as the PG student knowing for the normal growth development and reproduction of the plants, the specific kind of the photo period is very important. Not all plants grows and develops normally in a specific photo period. Within a 24 hours, there are the 12 hours day period and the 12 hours the night periods are present. So every plant species, besides coming from the different family, genera, then these classes, they do not normally grows and develops within this specific photo period. Either these are long day conditions or the short day condition or the day neutral condition. They having the specific kind of the photo period. They having a specific kind of the night period or the day period. If the day period or these photo period become fluctuated, then these body, then these green plants or then these plants become suffering small kinds of these deficient features which invites the kinds of the insects or the diseases to infect these plants. Next. Is it going on properly?
Yes,
लाटे
sir.
ma'am,
येस सर, येस सर,
आवाज व्यवस्थित येतोय?
येतोय सर, काहीच प्रॉब्लेम नाही.
Okay, okay, okay. So we'll continue. Now this plant disease and pest, both are the significant threats those infected these agricultural productivity. due to this infection, then this crop productivity become loses, and it directly affected this economic damage of these human beings or the agricultural product. With the pest including the insects, then the nematodes and the other organisms. The diseases are caused by these the pathogens like the fungi, then these bacteria, then these viruses. They are the separate, then these wing of this biological science or the botanical science, that is the plant pathology, which is based upon these how these infection causes these healthy plants, which kind of the causal organisms causes this normal the plant body, and on the basis of the structure and functions of this property or the ways of the infection, then these total plant diseases may be differentiated into the different then these orders, series, or the genus and the species. So initially, we'll know what is meant by the plant pest. So plant pests are the organisms that cause the damage to plants, including the insects, nematodes, weeds, and other unwanted organisms. These are all this comes under this property, all this comes under the category of the plant pest. Taking the examples, as a pest, the insects, that is the aphids, then the caterpillars, the beetles, and various other insect species may be included into the under these plant pests. Another one, the nematodes, the microscopic worms that can damage the root and other plant parts. And as the weeds, the unwanted plants that compete with the crops for the resources. This is the examples of the pest which affected damages the healthy body of the green plants. Next one. Then we'll know about the plant diseases. The plant pest is different, then there's a plant disease is different. The plant diseases are any abnormal condition. Either this climatic factor also included conditions that interfere with the normal functions of a plant, often caused by pathogens. Due to the infection of this climatic factor, edaphic factor, or the kinds of the factor, when this is normal, the health of the green plants, normal health of the plants become interfered, damaged. Then when this normal, when due to the infection of all these factors, when the plants do not having a normal, then it having an abnormal behavior due to causing the different kind of these. Then the plant diseases having the considered or the separated or the classified under these two different kind of the types. One having a biotic the plant diseases, second having a abiotic plant diseases. Under these biotic diseases, it is caused by the living organism such as fungi, bacteria, viruses, and the nematodes. And under these abiotic traits or the abiotic diseases caused by the non-living factors such as the nutrient deficiency, then these water trace, and the environmental pollutions. The examples of these plant diseases under these fungal diseases, the powdery mildew, leaf spot, and root rot. Under these bacterial diseases, then this bacterial blight and fire blights, and the viral diseases which infected the green plants, that is the mosaic diseases and the yellow veins, and causes a severe injury up to the death of the plants. Next. So here I collected some these common type of the pest and diseases of the crop plants, because most of these crop plants raised grows surrounding us or around us. That is the apple, then the citrus, corn plant, then the cucumber, eggplants, the grape, rice, tomato, and the beet, which is caused by this the normal plant caused by this plant disease and the plant pest. There are the different kind of these diseases due to the infection of these the plants. In case of the healthy apple plants or the citrus plants, like that the apple black rot, then these scab, then there's a ring rot due to the infection of these diseases. And regarding to this pest, that is these spider mites, the heart eaters, then these leaf flowers and the moths infected the apple plants as the pest. Similarly, in case of the citrus, then these are citrus anthracnose, citrus green mold, and regarding to the pest, mostly the citrus plants become affected by the citrus rustic, then these are red spider, silent, aphid, then the thrips, leaf miner, and the water plant. Similarly, then these remaining, then the corn plants, then these cucumber plants, then these egg plants may be infected by these the plant diseases as well as the plant pests, these pests, and those directly decreases the productivity of all these common plants. There are the number of plants survive in case of the biosphere infected by these number of diseases as well as this pest. But taking into consideration for knowing the student, I will select it the few plants how these infected, how these healthy plants become infected by these diseases as well as these pests. Next, while taking these tours, I'll select it a few plant pests and the few plant diseases. So these are most common plant pests in this biosphere, which infects the healthy plants and damages the injury, which directly affected into the yield of the plants. The first one is the aphids. The aphids live only about a week. This is the life period of these aphids, but a mature female can reproduce rapidly. The tiny sucking pest often found growing en masse on the underside of the leaves. These are the location of these aphids. The sucks these whatever the food nutrients present in case of the healthy plant in the leaves of the healthy plants, and due to the damaging due to sucking these aphids, then these healthy plants causes the infections. It bites the sticky substances that draws ants and attack sooty mold. What is the control measure in these aphids? When it damages to restore the awake or the damage of these plant pest away from these aphids, the control aphids with neem oil or the insecticidal soaps. So with the help of these various kinds of the pesticides and insecticides, spraying the pesticides and insecticides, then these aphids become control. Cloud infection of the aphids become controls. Next, second one, the thrips. It is a tiny flying insects. Again, the insects. That's why it is a pest with a frank wings. The sap-sucking insects discolor and distort nearly any type of the plants. They leave tiny black specks on excrement on the leaves and often create white patches on the leaves and the petals. The thrips are difficult to control and often require a combination of methods such as the sticky traps and insecticidal soap or the cleaver. So to restrict this growth or keep away these thrips from these healthy plants, such kind of the insecticidal soaps become required. Next, the another one pest is number third, the spider mites. Commonly, mostly observed in case of these environmental where these plant become infected. The spider mites are the difficult to seek with the naked eye, but they are easily recognized by the fine waves. The pests cause a sticking, spotting, and discolored leaves that may fall off the plants if not controlled. Means if it become discolored, whatever be the pigment system required for the process of the photosynthetic to manufacturing the green or these organic substances, it fails due to this decolorization because it directly affected the healthy portion of this leaf. The neem oil and the insecticidal soaps are the effective to stop to reduce the infection of these spider mites in case of the healthy plants. The water properly as mites are drawn to dry, dusty, and conditions. Next, the next pest, the leaf miners. The leaf miners are the smaller larvae of various pests, including the moths, flies, and the beetles. Although this larvae creates trails and blotchy areas as they feed on the leaves, like that manner, these are zigzag-like manner when they will be. They are relatively harmless and usually no treatment is necessary because the sticky traps will catch egg-laying adults and insecticidal soap may help if control is needed. Next. Another one pest. the damages, then there is a healthy plant. That is the scale damage can be devastating as a tiny pest which suck out the sweet nectars. There are two types of the scales observed mostly in case of these surface area of the leaves, that is the hard scale, found primarily on woody tissue such as the branches, the trunks, and the twigs, and soft scale, which has a waxy protective covering on these leaf. And for control this scale damage, to control can be difficult, but the neem oil works well by suffocating the pest. The regular use of insecticidal soap is also restricted. Then these growth and development of further infection of the scale damages in case of these healthy plants. Next one. Next pest. The white flies, mostly commonly observed in case of all over. The white flies are yet another type of this sap-sucking pest. Small numbers and the relatively harmless but large infestations can cause yellow or dry leaves that may fall off the plants. Like other sap-sucking pest, the sweet substances created by the white flies attracts and adds a sooty mode. Whatever be the sap, that is the organic manure, organic material component which has been synthesized by the grain plants, then this sap material, organic manure material will be sucked by this pest, and when coming from the green leaves, then this material becomes sucked by these white flies. Then these leaves become unhealthy, infected, and to restrict, to stay away these white flies or control the diseases, then these sticky traps as well as the insecticide also with the neem oil is a very important or the practice. Next pest is the earwings. Look at this photograph or these pictures. The insects, how it become infected, these surface area of the leaf. The earwings are mostly beneficial, but they can be harmful when they feed on vegetables and certain other plants, including the mumps, clematis, and dahlias. Listen carefully. Most of these insects, why it is having a beneficial, like that made earlier than these scientists? Because the process of the pollination, where these pollen grains coming from these one part of this flower, it fall in case of the another part of the flowers. That is in case of the process of the cross pollination. Then these insects being a agencies, those transfer the pollen grains coming from the one plant to the another plant. That's why for the purpose of this pollination, then these kinds of the insects become beneficial or useful, but they causes the harmful when they feeds in case of the vegetables and certain other plants, including the mum, clematis, and the dahlias. The earwings are easy to trap with the short lengths of a garden hose, or in case of the tuna cans, with the cooking oil. You can also cut the tiny hole inside to these cardboard box, wet it with a small amount of deodorants. So they keep this area free of debris as the earwings hide in case of the coals and in these moist places of the moist areas. Next. The next one, the pest or this plant pest is the cutworms. Friends, look at these photographs. The cutworms, like that, when the larval stage of a certain moths, they district the pest hide under these leaves or other plant debris, emerging to lay masses of eggs on the plants. They eat nearly anything in their paths, like that, when the decomposer, often cutting through stems of young plants at a ground level. So remove this plant debris because the pest by hand in late afternoon or evening, create a barriers with cardboards, collars, or gritty substances like the eggshells, coffee grounds, or these diatoms, encourages birds to visit your garden because the birds pick up as a or feeds in case of these cutworms as a food material, and simultaneously the number of these cutworms become reduced. So infection become reduces. Next, the fungus gnats. These are the another pest. The fungus gnats are the tiny, the insects annoying the pest that wreak the havoc on house plants, or in case of the garden plants, or in case of the greenhouses. The swarms of flying insects are annoying, but it is the larvae that does not most harm by eating a plant roots. The fungus gnats may also carry diseases from plant to plant. To control these fungus nets, the adults with bright yellow sticky traps, as well as to use the insecticidal soap to control the plants away from these fungus nets infections. Next, the ninth pest, the mealybugs. Mostly in case of these basal region of the leaf, like that manner the infection become caused by these mealybugs. It is a common both indoor as well as these outdoor plants, where they cause the stunted growth. Means they affected directly in case of these growth regulating the hormones, and when they become reduced, then they directly affected to the growth and development, the normal growth and development of these plants, and the growth becomes stunted, withering and yellowing of these plants. The pest or these mealybugs are easily recognized by the cottony protective covering, the powdery mass. Insecticidal soap works well against this pest. So restrict these mealybugs, the kinds of the insecticidal applied to stop these infection of the mealybugs. The light infestations on indoor plants can also be removed with a toothpick or a cotton swab dipped into a rubbing the alcohol on the surface of these infected portions. Next. So friends, as we mentioned earlier regarding to these plant pests, the different kind of the insects become directly infected the healthy plants and causes the different kind of the infections. Those reduced the yield of these healthy plants. The important regarding to this plant is this, that is the plants, if they are having this susceptible, then we can quickly treat them with the different kind of the pesticide, different kind of the insecticide, different kind of the use of these herbicides, and stop them to die or goes under these weakened as well as these death process of this path. Next. Regarding to the plant disease, because earlier we have discussed regarding to the plant pest, then this is the some of the examples of the plant diseases which is different from these plant pest. Mostly observed in case of the surface of the leaf. The first one is the black spot, which is one of the most common plant disease found in case of the rose plant or in case of the most of the plants. As you are pruning your roses, make sure you take a quick look to ensure the plants are healthy. Once these healthy green leaf infected by these diseases, then these green leaves become converted to the yellowish or the reddish or these. It initiates like that when the anthocyanin kind of the pigment. How will identify the black spot in case of the healthy plants? The black spot is a fungal disease. These are the achlorophyllus group of the plants. When this achlorophyllus group of the plants infected the healthy leaves, then whatever the food nutrients required for the growth and development of these mycelium, these are the vegetative body of the fungus. For this growth and development of the mycelium or the growth and development of the vegetative body of the fungus, then these green, then the leaves become converted into these yellowish patches, then it's converted into these black spot or the black the patches in case of these leaves. Irregularly shaped splotches on your roads, bush leaves. As the disease works, the leaves will turn yellow and drop. The road scans can also be affected if the black spot is left untreated for an extent of week. We do not protect it with the help of the different kind of the insecticide and pesticide, then these leaves become fall down or the drop down. As it is a fungal disease, the black spot is brought in the form of the wet conditions and these cooler temperatures. It is a very common for it to appear from the month of the June onwards. Then how will it treat these black spots? The restored the life cycle to break the life cycle of this infection, injuries, or the diseases in case of these rose or another plant. We'll use the specific the fungicides or the insecticides with the help of the sulfur and copper. Then we will restrict the growth and development of the vegetative body of the fungus, that is the mycelium. Next. The second one, plant disease, that is the powdery mildew. Being a student of the pathology, the most of the faculty members or most of these UGPs are student knowing the powdery mildew, downy mildew. The term downy, it do not indicate it the infection occurs in case of this downward direction. These are the categorized or the classification on the basis of how the infection causes by these organism in the healthy plants. So second one, the plant disease is the powdery mildew. The powdery mildew can affect both indoor as well as the outdoor plants. This is another one, a common plant disease that is brought by the fungus. Again, these are chlorophyllous the plants, that is the fungus being the powdery mildew infected the normal the green plants. It's normally caused by drying out the plants. Upon the tender bedding plants that affected during the periods of the drought when they reach the amount of the water content not supply to these plants. Now, how we will identify? The powdery mildew is easy to spot it. As per we see these photograph of this powdery mildew, we easily observe how the infection causes by the powdery mildew. It shows up the white or the light gray powdery blotches on the surface of the leaves. They can also show up on the underside of these leaves, that is to the downward surface, on the stems, then the fruits, then the vegetables, as well as the flowers. Then these kinds of these infection causes, that is the powdery mildew, become infected. Be sure to check every part of this plant for it. Now, the process of how will restrict it, stop the infections. The most of these fungicides and other products of the insects and pesticides in case of the market will require used practices as agronomic practices to stop this cycle of this powdery mildew or to reduce the infection of the powdery mildew in case of these plants. Next, the third one, yes, ma'am. Yes, third one, that is the brown rots. As per the infection, so this is the another fungal infection or the plant disease which is caused or healthy plants, mostly considered named as brown rot, primarily affect the fruit shrubs and the trees. Typically affected include the cherries, then these plums, then these pears, then these nectarians or apricots. The identification on the basis of the morphological behavior, external appearance, the flowers of fruit trees that are affected by the brown rot produce the brown spot on their petals, the floral walls. Eventually, the blossom collapse. After they may produce a sticky material that attaches to the twigs, which can cause a more infection. When they remain associated with the help of these leaves, then they causes the more infection in the healthy plants. The fruits that develop brown rot turn brown and produce a small raised, the white bumps and all over them. When the infection becomes initiate, increase, then the total these fruit plants become causing the larger damage in compared to these. Then for restrict this, fortunately, the brown rot on the fruit trees or shrub is not the death sentence. However, all these affected fruits need to immediately pull from the plant and disposed. So separated these infected in these plants because they do not transfer then this fungal infection, because when once this fungal the growth and development takes place, then coming from the mycelium, then the spore producing body, because the process of this reproduction mostly observed in case of these fungus as well as the diseases, these spore producing body become organized, develop in case of these vegetative body of the mycelium or the fungus, then the spore become dispersed. After the maturity period, spore become dispersed, and these spores are infected in these agents become spread in case of the another, then the healthy fruits or the flowers, and they causes the infection. Or this another one, then this new brown rot diseases causes in case of this a part of the plant. That's why the remove or disposed, then these infected portion coming from the healthy plant is important. Then these treatment required for then these brown rot. Next. Then the root rots. Another one plant, this is mostly observed in case of the most of the plants also. Infection causes through these root system. Always, because if the root system mostly present in case of the under soils, so we'll consider soil-borne diseases. The root rot is a common beneficial bacterial infection among the house plants, often because indoor plants site in a container, they can become a waterlogged. They do not having the kinds of the aeration also. They initiates like that manner the root rots. This is usually from an watering schedule also. The root system of the plants dies because of water doesn't allow them to receive the oxygen they needed. Most of the time what happens, so we will plant it the different kind of the plants in a plots in front of our the study room or in house, and we'll always use the amount of water, because but we consider that when we will supply the daily water, then these plants become normally grows and develops, but it does not happen. The excess amount of water molecules, when the total plot become always full of water molecules, then how the aeration occurs in case of the root system? How the mineral elements become properly transferred through the root system to the apical portion of the plants, or the absorption of the water minerals, then the process of the gases action do not occurs properly in case of the area of the root surface, and they causes or they infected through these root rot kind of disease. The identification in this, then these yellowing leaves are some of these first signs of these root rot. It is seeing the happening, and nothing you try since to correct. There may be a good time to check the plant roots. So to restrict this infection coming away from these root rot, then the sooner you can treat root rot, the better. That is, wash the roots under running water to rinse away as much soil as you can with a clean, sharp sets, trim any infected roots, remove the large amount of the root stem, those goes under the infection. When it become removed, then this healthy root system become either it become the adventices or the trap root system. They spread throughout the soil, and they actively participate into the aeration in case of the root system to exchange the gases, as well as normally participate into the active water absorption as well as the mineral nutrients. Those required for the healthy, the growth and development of the plant body or the living organisms. Next. So after the knowing that is the plant diseases, then the plant pest, how it affect this the vegetative body of the plants, how it will be affected to the yield of the plants, and how it raises the kinds of the crisis in front of the human beings in these Indian continent also, or in case of the global also. So restrict all these the infections, either it is belonging from these pest or the diseases infection. Mostly in case of the agricultural in these universities like that, the number of the agronomical, agroastrological, the practices become practiced to restrict, to keep these plants away from the various kind of the infections or the various kind of diseases, which is considered as a control methods. The pest weeds and diseases pose a serious risk of a primary producers, as they can impact on the market success and agriculture. Because if the primary producers being a green plants become infected by the different kind of the diseases, then they losses the yield and the productivity of these cereal, then the pulses, then these uh, grain manure, as well as these vegetable plants also. So this pest control is best achieved with the integrated pest management using a range of the biological, chemical, mechanical. These are the different kind of the control method, mostly practices to control the infection of these diseases. Either it is belonging from these plant diseases, or other is belonging from these pest diseases. To to reduce the growth as well as the impact of this pest, the department of the primary industry as well as the regional centers or the development center work with landholders or the stakeholders and grower, community, biosecurity groups to control all these diseases or the pest. Within this control method, it provides the diagnostic services and the information on prevention, management, as well as how it become treated or the treatment of these particular kind of the insecticide and pesticide to control the various diseases. It provides biosecurity measures to prevent introduction and the eradication or manage the current pests. Next one. These are the integrated pest management. That is, the diseases become controlled with the help of the different kind of these strategies, pathways. That is the cultural, then these pest disease management, then the mechanical disease management, then these biological disease management, and the chemical disease management. Every having its own way. That is mostly in case of the conventional breeding, conventional practices or the farmer practices. Then like that manner, then these cultural practices become practices or the methods of the cultural, the control become practices. The farmers always practice the crop, not continuously 10 years or the 9 years, the same plant or the same species or the same crop practiced by these farmers. Instead of it, randomly they changes this a cropping pattern maybe comes avoids then these different kind of the soil pest, then the insects or the pest diseases. That's why they comes under these cultural practices. Then these mechanical practices, one by one we will go through these, how this configuration, how this contribution of the cultural, mechanical as well as the biological and the chemical, then these method of or the control methods which is useful for the increasing the yield of the plants and decreasing the infection of these diseases in case of these plants. Next one. Next one. So mostly it practices into this mechanical method, then the physical, cultural, and another one is the biological method. The mechanical, physical, and the cultural controls of a pest to controlling all these infections, the weeds and the diseases are an integral part of the successive integrated pest management plans. So in case of this agricultural industry or the government policies, they use all this, the mechanical, physical, and the cultural control integrately to restore, to break the infections of the diseases, to keep these plant healthy and away from the diseases. For that purpose, then these integrately the mechanical, physical, and cultural or the control methods or the processing practices. The cultural controls are the practice that are reduce the pest establishment, reproduction, dispersal, and the survival. For example, the crop rotation. As I already discussed, that it's after the completion of the 2 successive generation, the third generation, we do not practice the same plants. Instead of it, due to the process of these agrological practices, the farmer taking the another one, the crops, another one, the species of the crops, or another one, the vegetable plants or the cereal plants. The crop rotation being one of these activity which comes under these the cultural control, the method of these diseases. The crop rotation, which is replacing the susceptible crop with a less susceptible crop and changing the irrigation practices, the less watering can reduce the root diseases and the weeds. Once the pattern of this cropping or the cropping pattern become changes, but every crop having its own the physiological or the kinds of the activity, because every crop plants they needed the kinds of the amount of water molecules, amount of the mineral nutrients, amount of this soil contents for the its growth development, because the life period is different from these crop plants. The cereal crops or the pulses, mostly the pulses become growths within 3 months. Number of cereals may be growths or they required near about to 6 to 8 months to complete its life cycle or comes up to the stage of the productivity. So this tenure of the cropping pattern as well as to changing the cropping pattern helpful. Mostly it comes under these cultural controls, and it helps to control the diseases, either the pest as well as these plants. Second one, the mechanical and physical controls kills a pest directly or make the environmental unsuitable for it. So kill these insect pests directly with the help of the use of various kinds of the instrumentation also. For example, the traps, that is the network, net. Then for pest and animals, insects, the mulches, most of now in case of the agriculture, this pattern of mulching is practiced by the farmers. With the help of this mulching pattern, this soil will be totally covered by these polythene covers to restore these root system as well as these healthy plants away from these various kind of the soil borne diseases or various kind of these infections. So this mulching pattern to control the weed or for the purpose of the weed management, it may be being a mechanical practice practiced. Then this steam sterilization for soil disease management or the barriers such as the screens or fence to keep the animals and insects outside or away from these healthy plants. Next. Then the physical control methods, as we already discussed. The physical control refers to mechanical control where the pest is actually attacked and destroyed. That is, if there is the infected the plants, then these infected plants become picked up and thrown outside to these field. These are the man-made practices, that is the physical practices doing by the farmers. The tillage fight, removal by hand, grazing, and moving are all used to destroy the weeds and prevent the reproduction. Some insects may also be destroyed by a tillage, which destroy their eggs or overwinter stages of the growth. The practices such as the seedbed preparation, post-seeding tillage, post-harvested tillage, and the summer fallow are effective in combination against the weed seedling as well as and the perennial weeds. The choices is will vary with the region, crop degree of infestations, the soil condition, as well as the availability of the equipment. Next one. The another one for mostly practiced the control methods by the farmers, agriculturists, those practice, those work in the field, the biological control. Within this biological control, then these different kind of the parameters, different kind of the methods become practices. These biological controls or the biocontrols refers to use of the natural organism like the beneficial insects, then the mites, then the microorganisms such as the bacteria, fungus, and virus. But all these microorganisms having a beneficial microorganisms remain associated with the help of the plants and which gives the beneficiary activity for the plants. Like that manner in case of the root system, the nostoc kinds of these nitrogen fixing bacteria remain associated with the help of the root of the wild plant, root of the cereal plants. Then they actually participated to fix the nitrogen which is required for the normal growth and development of these or normal growth of the health of the plants. So like that, when it's biologically the useful, then the agents become required to control the diseases as a biological controlling methods. The crop management practices that maintain or increase the populations of existing biological agents, for example, through providing shelter as well as the more nectar plants. To ongoing applications of beneficial organism to control the pest using the commercially available species. And the introduction of this non-native natural enemies to control an invasive pest, once it releases, then the agent self-replicated, providing the permanent control. So these are biological agents or the biological these are beneficiaries that required used practices to control the diseases, to control the infections in case of the healthy. Next. This biological control pest and weeds diseases, it is an integral part of the successful integrated the disease management plan. the control management of the pests through use of their natural enemies, that is the biological control agents, like the already seen in case of the photographs, the different kind of the insects, which helps to control the kinds of these diseases. The biological control agent is an organism such as the virus, insect of the plant diseases. It provides the diagnostic services as well as the biosecurity to maintain the prevention, introduction, as well as the eradication of management of these current pest and the diseases in case of the plants. Next. So this is the small, the biological tour or the botanical tour with the student as well as the faculty members who joins with this Zoom meeting, and the giving opportunity by the Department of Botany coming from this Yashwantrao Chauhan Mahavidyalaya Ambazogai. The inviting and shared my tour or my views about this plant-based welfare. Mostly, it is very important to every mankind knows about these diseases, how it become controlled, what are the different kind of the agencies, what are the different kind of these ways, because we all of having the farmer's family, related to the farmer's family,
Yes, sir,
and how the
absolutely.
farmer suffering from the various kinds of the infections, various kinds of the diseases, we will know a number of acres and number of these yields become infected or the damaged by the insects and pests. So I make a small try regarding to the aware the participant about these plant diseases, plant pest, how it become restricted, what are the different kind of the mechanical process of the biological methods using mostly to restrict all these diseases or the infections.
Yes, sir.
So thank you, the Department of the faculty member, that is the Laka Madam and Kople Madam, inviting me. I thanks to Principal Sirsat sir and again Professor Madhukar Vadiskar sir, the Department of Botany, Atal College, Gevrai. He convey me about to sharing my views within the webinar organized by the Department of Botany, Yashwantrao Chauhan Mahavidyalaya, Ambazogai. So thank you one and all listening me care patiently. Okay,
Yes,
thank
sir,
you.
thank you so much. Thanks, sir, for guiding on the plant disease with the control measures and welfare of the plant. Now I will like to call Nikita Jadhav ma'am for the vote of thanks because all the guests guide us very neatly. So to show our gratitude towards the speakers, times and the information, I will call now Nikita ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Poonam ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. I am here to offer my thanks on behalf of all participants. We would especially like to thank Dr. Arun Kharat sir and Dr. Navnath Kashik sir, our chief guest, for accepting our invitation and joining us today. Your presence has boosted our energy and our thoughts have inspired us. All your words have really motivated. I also want to thank our principal sir, Dr. Shuda Shirsat sir, vice principal sir Ramesh Shinde sir, for always encouraging and directing us. I also want to thank all of you for joining and helping us to make these days successful, and especially for all of us, an event is unsuccessful without a loving or an appreciating audience. And also thanks Asif sir and Ali sir, all people who are attending here deserve thanks one and all.